Alexis. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty tired, which there could be a lot of reasons for that. But other than tired, I'm feeling pretty good. The energy's kind of neutral today for me.
Yeah, I am also feeling really tired. And I feel like, do we say this every week? We're like, oh, we're so tired. I honestly think we're just looking forward to going to bed and dreaming. So I'm going to chalk it up to that. But I will say that I didn't sleep very well because I had an early dentist appointment, which I didn't really have. I mean, I had a little bit of anxiety about going to the dentist because I always have cavities. And the past two, or I would say the past year, with my two visits at the dentist, I haven't had cavities. So I'm excited about that. But there was a bit of anxiety in addition to some other things. So I didn't really sleep very well. So I am really looking forward to sleeping tonight and hopefully having good dreams and not anxious dreams tonight. That's what I'm going for. So, yes.
Absolutely. And I'm right there with you. Like, I'm excited to dream.
Yes, 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 yes. So speaking of dreams, tonight's chat is going to be our monthly dark moon dream reflections. This is the episode and the time in which we honor the waning moon, new moon energy, and we reflect on the previous moon cycle of dreams or the moon cycle that we're closing, right? And so we are still in the Cancer lunar cycle. And as of tomorrow, or when you're listening to this, if you're not listening to it live or the day after it's live, if you're listening to it on Spotify, basically, the new moon already happened. But the new moon is taking place on Thursday, July 24th. And so, and actually, it's happening pretty early in the morning. I want to say it's at like 3:55 a.m. So technically, tonight is a new moon energy. And so we're really actually in the in between. And so we're going to reflect on our dreams. And just to give you an idea of the window of time that we are observing or reflecting upon, is going to be that Cancer new moon happened on June 25th. And basically, up until this moment, or like whatever dreams we had last night, this morning, we're going to reflect on that period. And then we will follow our reflections with an oracle message and a tarot message, which is like my favorite part of these chats. So definitely stay with us, hang out to the end. And we would love to also hear how your dream space has been over this past moon cycle, and yeah, anything that stood out to you, emotions, themes, symbols. We would love to hear about that. So before we get into our shares for tonight, we just want to make a few announcements. So on August 10th, I will be teaching a dream class on, it's titled Overcoming Anxious Dreams and Nightmares. And nightmares are truly an invaluable dream. I feel it's definitely, I mean, I wouldn't say it's underestimated as far as the attention that it gets, but as far as the medicine and the transformation, I feel that is incredibly um, underestimated because there's so much value in nightmares and anxious dreams, and they draw up so much emotion, especially if they're recurring nightmares. That's something you really want to pay attention to. And I'll just say briefly, I had a reading this past weekend with someone, and they mentioned that they were having the recurring nightmares, and it wasn't about them. It was about their son, who's a pretty much adult, a young adult. And I love working with people with dreams and astrology and just integrating it all. And it was so, I believe he got a lot of relief because I was like, well, it's not about your son, it's about you, and you are your son. And in the dream, and what has been coming up, like what I was feeling is that it's like your psyche is using your son because that would be the most alarming for you, as opposed, even if it was you, you may be like, oh, well, I'm used to seeing myself die in a dream or whatever. But if it's your child, that hits even deeper. And so that was a recurring nightmare. And I'm really looking forward to seeing if they are still experiencing that after we had the conversation and after they heed the guidance that came forth through the dream and the rest of the session. So with that to say, August 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern time, virtual class via Ritual Craft School. I will be teaching this dream class, Overcoming Anxious Dreams and Nightmares. And the registration link is in the description of the video. If you are interested, I really encourage you to sign up and connect with me there.
I'm so excited for your class. Like you talking about nightmares is so important, and it really is that like exclamation mark that you need to really hone in and pay attention to something you've been neglecting or not acknowledging. So that's going to be an incredibly rewarding class. Another announcement I want to bring up is Dreamigos. So if you come by every week or listen to our podcast often, you know that we talk about Dreamigos. That is a developing dream app. Urania and I work on there as dream experts, and you can find this on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. It's a really great dream documentation app. And basically, you can choose maybe like 3 or 4 ways to document your dream, or you can choose to publish it to our Dreamline, where it's public and dream experts like Urania and I can comment on it and help with guidance or interpretation. So one of the awesome things about Dreamigos too is that there is a monthly dream circle that you can participate in for free if you download the app and sign up. This next dream circle we have, I believe, is going to be on July 29th at 8 p.m. So if you're interested, go download that and have fun. It's going to be great, and maybe you'll get Rainy and I to comment on one of your dreams.
Yes, and it's growing. It's a growing community. I'm really excited. As we mentioned, it's in development, or it's expanding. It's in the beta phase. And so we are gaining more and more momentum, and I'm just really excited to see how it grows. And I really just value the community. The Dreamline it's my favorite part. And I share dreams here and there. Alexis shares dreams and also has been sharing artwork that is associated with her dreams. And it's just so much fun. And I can see the potential and how it will more than likely unfold. And it's going to be great. So definitely check that out and definitely join us next Tuesday for our dream circle. Okay, so speaking of dreams, in a nutshell, Alexis, how do you feel your dream space has been over since June 25th till until today?
My dream space has been kind of odd. I would say there's definitely been some anxiety driven dreams, but I feel like there's a lot of playfulness to my dreams too lately. And it'll show up really weird. It'll be a really like stressful moment, and then all of a sudden it's something that like makes me laugh in my dream, and then something that I laugh at when I wake up. So it's definitely been an interesting mix. I would say that if I'm thinking of the timeline correctly, last new moon phase, my dreams were really profound. This
Mhm.
phase, I feel like they're just kind of like laying breadcrumbs. They're giving me the messages, but it's also on a lighter note.
Mhm.
How about you?
Yeah, so this moon cycle, my dreams have definitely been profound AF, like really, really good dreams. And thinking about the previous moon cycle, I don't really think that. I think that I was having a really hard time writing my dreams, which made sense because my life was really, really busy. And at the beginning of this moon cycle, I was still at my mother's house in Maryland, but then, like maybe a week after that, I was back home. And so, in that period, though, my life has slowed down a lot. My daughter's not in school. And so, there's a lot more flexibility throughout the day. I don't have to wake up early, even though I still wake up early, but there's no like wake up and have to like get her ready for school and then go. It's not more so like wake up, take my time, have coffee or tea, and I can actually sit and reflect on my dreams and record them. And I was really, really consistent with recording my dreams. It wasn't until possibly like a week ago that I kind of dropped off on that. Like I think my last stream was July 19th, but before that, no, I've been pretty good. But I haven't recorded since July 19th. So that is about 4 days. And before that, I was recording dreams, if not every day, every other day, every 2 or 3 days. So I'm really proud that I have been recording them more often. I do feel that at this moment, recording them on my computer has been a lot easier. Um, Although now I'm starting to have some challenges with it because now I'm like, oh, I just want to write it down real quick. I don't want to sit down at the desk and do it. So, I have my drama with my dream
Well,
recall.
and that's why it's so nice to have multiple different ways to do it because it waxes and wanes.
Yeah.
Lately I've been really on top of like voice messaging you my dreams, but I haven't been as good with like actually writing them down and making them tangible. And, I try to like not to be hard on myself because I'm like, it's just a phase, like whatever, you're gonna get back to it. And just like having the notes saved in a voice message to you makes a lot of difference. So I completely get that, like wax and wane. And the computer is really nice. Like it's convenient when you can sit down with and take your time with it. Like I feel like I almost have a little bit more of an ease because I'm not so worried about how I'm writing or what I'm writing. I'm like, it's very,
It's
I don't,
fast. So
it's fast. It's
everything
fast.
like, "Ooh," yeah.
Yep.
And it's like also I can record. I feel more comfortable recording more details when I'm typing versus when I'm writing. I literally have had to, and I still do this when I type, but definitely when I write, I've had to kind of restrict myself on how deep I go because it's like I want to get everything, but I also I don't want it to be 16 pages. I literally read a dream on our podcast, or it was maybe the live stream, but either way, it was like 16-page dream. And I was like, don't worry, Alexis, I write really big. So it seems really long, but it's not that long, but it is long.
Yep.
So I really had to be disciplined with definitely getting down the emotion. That's important. And also just really getting the bulk of the dream, the essence of it, and like the details that are really important, and then kind of coloring it in after that. And that's something that you can do more easily when you type, is like you can get down everything or the little bit of things, and then you can come back to it later and add in, just where you need to type and
Yes.
details, which that's really nice too.
Editing
The
is
discipline to,
fantastic.
yeah. Because it's like that would just be chaos if you try to do that in your handwritten
Oh my
journal. Like,
God.
I'm gonna
Let me
squeeze
tell
this in the
you,
margin.
I have thought about annotating some of my journals, like some of my dream journals, and then I think about the actual amount of like, and this is going to sound so bad, but the amount of work that it takes to annotate, like read your dream, like edit with sticky notes, and then have like corresponding like colors to like really break up the different meanings and stuff like that. I'm like, I would love to be that organized, but oh,
I started that when I first really started a 28-day like dream practice. After the 28 days, I did do that. I did it. I didn't do it. Well, I did a little bit of the note taking, like, or the annotations in the journal, but then I also use Notion, which is an application where you can create different, like, it's like a really fancy notes application basically. And so
yeah,
you can put in different links, which you can do on your notes. But anyways, I love just the way it works because you can also search and highlight and everything. And so I went through my dreams and I was like, I hashtagged the ones that were this emotion or this symbol. And so actually I'm like, I should go back and look at that. But it was really
yes,
interesting because it was very helpful, because that was the time I was having the recurring car dreams, and
oh
or the theme essentially with cars, which was a part of the process of me changing my name and all of that, and like shedding that aspect of myself. And that was when I really saw the complete like package of dream work. And I haven't done that since. I'm always like, I'm going to do that again. But it is a lot of work, especially when you're
a lot of work.
constantly recording your dreams, it takes like that's a full-time job. You have to really carve out time in your day to reflect. And I think it's really good to, reflect at the end of the month, just to get a grand scope of things, or maybe a later time, not say like the next day. I mean, it's good to reflect the next day, but I think that it's good to give it a little bit of space to breathe and have the synchronicities come forth and the aha moments and all of that. And then, do your annotations. But yeah, no, you're right. It's a lot of work. And my Capricorn was all about it, and my Pisces was not. It's like,
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. I was like, your Capricorn moon probably loved that. And I'm thinking, I'm like, how much that sounds like it would be like a fun time and like being that organized would be great. But like there's nothing in my chart to ground me in that in that at all.
I also have Mercury in Capricorn too. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it made sense, but like my Mars, and it really is my Mars in Pisces. Like my Mars is my guiding planet. It's my chart
Yeah.
ruler. And so the way in which I navigate my life and make decisions and all of that is through my Mars more than anything else. And it's in Pisces. So it's like, it's really hard to like stay in the grounded energy. So I have a lot, like you were saying, a lot of different modalities and a lot of different ways to journal and record, and so it's a lot. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so interesting to be self-aware of it too. Like you can kind of like pinpoint it. I'm trying to pinpoint it. Like I'm now self-aware of how different things are affecting me, but now I have to like take the action to kind of fight against it. And that's
Yeah,
really the
it can be.
part that's
Yeah,
challenging. Like I'm
yeah, it
sitting here and I'm
definitely.
like, it, with everything being in, so a lot of my planets are in Libra in the 12th house, so it's like an air and water kind of like, so a lot of flow. Nothing wants to be grounded. Everything's just like scattered.
And the 12th
So,
is like literally the liminal space in the chart. Like it's really hard to grasp anything there. It's all like in consciousness, in the ether, and it's ready to like, be one with, whatever existence is or whatever's beyond that. And so, yeah, that seems very similar to what I experienced with my Piscean energy.
absolutely. And you know what? It's kind of funny to think about too is that like, um, if I'm working somewhere, I don't have an issue if you're telling me what to do and I have to like do like if I'm not relying on myself, I can usually get things done. But if I'm relying on myself, I don't do anything.
Yeah,
So it's just very interesting.
that
But
is interesting. So speaking of astrology too, I want to come back to the Cancer energy, the Cancer lunar cycle. And so, and especially, yeah, we're getting the Cancer and the Capricorn, because when I'm thinking about it too, the full moon was in Capricorn.
Mhm.
But just with the Cancerian energy, there may have been themes within our dream space of nurture, self-nurture, or nurturing others, creating space, creating more of like a loving, cozy, nurturing like space or inner sanctuary. In this case, when I think about dreams, I'm thinking about like our bedroom space, or maybe just even a release of maybe like whatever's not serving us within our psyche. There could be like a purge or a rising of just those types of dreams that kind of don't make sense, but it's like you're clearing, like your consciousness is clearing, your inner sanctuary is clearing through the dream space. I kind of felt that. But I would invite, everyone listening to, if some of, you guys might not know, but what area of life Cancer, rules in your birth chart. And so for Alexis and I, we have Cancer ruling the ninth house, which is the house of dreams. It's a house of communing with the divine, source energy, divination. Like, so all the ways that you can commune with the divine through divination, through astrology, through dreams, also the expansion within your consciousness, and indulging in those kind of activities is something that happens with the ninth house, or yeah, the ninth house, foreign travel or long distance travel. So there could be a lot of dream experiences, like with regarding astral travel might come up. I think for me, I definitely felt like the divination vibe within my dreams, even though they're not all specific to divination. there were a lot of very, like I said, a lot of profound dreams for me. And what was coming up, like there was always like a gem, a message that I wanted to like expand and explore and go deeper with, which that exploration quality is definitely ninth house energy for sure. So I felt that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to share, like, I have three small dreams I'm going to share. And they all kind of centered around being around people, like that
Mhm.
community type energy. There was also that hearth and home. I know that in two of the dreams, they were involved in a house, and one of them specifically in a kitchen where like that idea of like family gathering together to feast together, it did feel very comforting. And then the other dream that I have, it was in like a metaphysical store, which to me is very comforting.
Yeah. And that's
So
the whole divination,
yes.
ninth house energy of mysticism and connecting with the divine. So do you want to share your dreams?
Yeah, sure. They're very short. The longest one, I'm sharing second, but it's not even that long. My dreams were very brief this time around. There didn't seem to be long stays where I was astral traveling, but the first one was interesting. I had about a week or a week and a half ago, and I told you all of them, I think. But
Okay.
I was coming up with a group of people who felt familiar in the grass. It was like a cool winter or a cool summer night. And I remember going around this like lake pond type thing that like I knew alligators were in or crocodiles, and we were like running quickly to bypass the like security and also like these creatures that are gonna attack. And I walk into this house that's dim completely aside from the two rooms, the kitchen and the attached dining room. And when I go in, the people I'm with kind of merge with the party, but then it's kind of just me. The focus comes back to me. And I walk over to the table, and the reason I'm sharing this dream too is because so I'm sure everyone knows that Ozzy Osbourne died yesterday, which is kind of crazy. But in my dream last week, I walked up and he was sitting and he was just like watching his iPad. And like we started having a conversation and just talking normally. And like he walked over to the kitchen and got a drink and like walked back. And there were like no signs of Parkinson's. Like he was having no issues talking. And it was like we were just bantering back and forth randomly and like laughing. And then I woke up and it ended like on this weird, like playful, um, I don't know, just it was different. It was definitely like completely different from the beginning of the dream. And I woke up and I felt like a comforting feeling, just being in the dim rooms. That nice yellow light kind of shining on you, kind of like what you have, like that nice like warm tone light. It feels very comforting and like relaxing. And the whole party was silent. Like people were there, but you couldn't hear them. We were just like almost by ourselves talking. So I thought that was a really interesting dream. And I didn't even remember that I had it until you brought it up yesterday when we talked about it.
Yeah,
Um,
that was last week you had that dream?
mhm.
Yeah, I remember it was really recently. So it almost feels like a visitation, but also in a sense too, like with the comforting energy, I feel that it was more nostalgic. Like
Yeah.
it was pointing back to, or maybe you were having that experience that was kind of nostalgic, but nostalgia can bring, it can bring forth that comforting, cozy feeling, which is definitely Cancer. Cancer is very
Yeah.
sentimental, very, nostalgic type energy where, they hold on to everything. Not all of them, but, in general, it's like everything has like a little sentimental meaning, or, they're the ones more than likely to have those things. Like everything kind of has a story and like emotion. And so I got that vibe from that dream of, and it's interesting because this is where I'm like, oh, everything is connected because it's just so sentimental when it's like a week later, he
Hmm.
transitions.
Hmm.
And so it brings up like this reflection of, oh, I remember when I first learned of Ozzy Osbourne and what that meant for me when I was
Oh, yeah.
young, the vibe that I was feeling, even like the vibe that you're going to carry into our chat tonight. Like there was a mentioning of Ozzy Osbourne. And so I think that was, yeah, I really do think that was like your psyche just it's crazy how that happens in the smallest ways. So, and
It is
we had no idea.
crazy.
I knew you watched him like a couple of weeks ago. Weren't you watching the show like a couple
Yeah,
of
he
weeks
had
ago?
a recent farewell show, and like we knew about it coming up and we were watching it. And so there were definitely feelings around like that whole thing in general because, he knew he was dying and you can see it in his inability to do anything. I think the farewell concert it might have been, I can't, oh my God, I feel like the last couple weeks have gone by so fast. Um, Either this past weekend, like this weekend or last weekend, I can't remember. But it was very emotional and it was like definitely nostalgic. Like definitely nostalgic. I mean, and like my parents always listen to him, so there was no like introduction. It was like it was just always there. And
Yeah.
I was talking about this with you too, and I said, you know, there's an aspect of people like Ozzy Osbourne where they've been in our life our entire life. And even though they're not above us, they're not gods, they're not these like magnificent creatures that we kind of in our heads put them there a little bit. So when they do end up passing away, when you kind of feel like they're going to be around forever, it has you kind of questioning your own mortality a bit and having more of this like thoughts around your existence and like, well, if they can die, then we can die. And not that you didn't know that, it's just,
And it hit
different things brings things to the surface. You
especially
re-acknowledge
like
things nonstop.
especially it was a farewell concert, right? So
Yeah.
this, like I mentioned last night, I was like, this is why I really truly believe for the most part, like we do have some sort of choice of when we transition.
Hmm.
Maybe that choice is more conscious for people, like maybe Ozzy Osbourne in this case, like he felt complete, like he, lived his life and was ready to be at peace. And, maybe we make unconscious agreements or we're unconscious of that choice. And, it's something more like sudden. And I hate to even, this kind of conversation really makes me emotional, but nonetheless, it was very profound and it definitely touched me because of literally you just sharing this dream like a week ago. And I was like, oh, wow. And that kind of, I didn't know that the concert was like a farewell thing or anything like that. I didn't really know
Yeah.
any. So it did cut a little deep for me too, through you and your dream. So with that said, I definitely feel that Cancer energy, like with,
Oh, for sure.
yeah. All
But
right. What else?
yes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, like, that was just an interesting dream, and it was very, like, comforting. It was very nurturing. It felt very nurturing. It felt very nostalgic. And just, like, again, thinking about that warm
Mhm.
light and, like, the house being warmer as opposed to, like, outside it being cold. And just, like, so yeah, that Cancer energy is coming through really strongly. So right on to the next dream. Now, this dream, I know that you were like a little upset with my dream self. Not like literally, but
Yeah,
so
I don't remember, so I'm excited.
it was based in this metaphysical store. So me and two of my friends went to a metaphysical store, and it kind of reminded me of like your stereotypical metaphysical store where there's not too much different from other ones. Like there's ones that you go to where it's totally their own vibe, but then there's a lot of them where it's a very similar
Are the
energy.
crystal,
Yes, there's nothing extra, it's just there. And
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. But it felt like that, but it also kind of felt like, I don't know, like a Forever 21 or a Free People, like almost like a merging of the two. It was very crowded with stuff, not people. We were the only ones in the store aside from the people behind the counter. And you're walking through it and there's just stuff and stuff and stuff and so much stuff that you really can't focus on one thing or the other. And I'm looking at things, I'm looking at like racks of clothes and stuff. And at one point, my friend picked up a slinky and she was kind of like playing with it. It was one of those ones. It wasn't the one that was just metal. It was a plastic one and it was kind of like rainbow tie-dyed.
Yeah,
And
I
she was
know.
kind of like she was kind of like playing with it and she's like, "Oh, this is so fun. I think I'm gonna get this." And then her and the other friend walked away. And again, that theme of like being with the community and then being alone, like out of nowhere. Like they disappeared from the experience completely until they reappear back later. But I'm walking around and I'm sorry. I'm walking around and I'm like seeing what's on the racks and kind of just acknowledging things. I'm kind of not feeling a whole lot, but then there's a thought in my head that like something comes up and it's like I'm going to steal this. And so I had this idea to steal one of these things, but I kind of just like it wasn't me. Like it's so weird to explain. Like it was me, but it
That was
wasn't me.
also why I was mad. It wasn't about
No,
that.
no,
Or I
no, no,
wasn't
no, no.
mad, but I was giving her, I was like,
No,
ah,
no, no. It wasn't that. It wasn't that.
but it wasn't about that actually.
So I walk over and I pick up a journal and I'm like, oh, this is actually a nice journal. I'm gonna buy this. And I grabbed something else and I put them on the counter, but I kind of like not physically hid this thing, but it was almost like I telepathically like put a glamour on it or something. So no one saw what I was trying to steal. And it was I don't know, it was that was a very I didn't like that aspect of the dream because like in real life I have a conscience and I feel really bad about stealing. I do have the want and the urge. Like it's there. Like I could walk into a store and be like, I would love to just steal this.
Yeah.
But I can't. Like I just can't. Like I would never obviously never do it, but that only really shows up when I'm in big corporation stores anyway. So it's like but I just can't do it. So in the dream, I was thinking about it and feeling the like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. So I go up to the register and my journal and my other thing was already bagged, but the woman who's behind the register, which I want to say the way that it was built, there was like wax melting on all of the stuff. Um, right in front of you was a small space on a wooden desk that your stuff would be on. And then on the other side of that was this ancient, like, it was a fortune telling machine, but it was one of those penny presses. So if you go to like a zoo or whatever, you can put a penny in the thing and you put it through the thing and it presses down on the metal of the penny and stamps it with something else. So the woman had kind of like vanished from behind and it was like a void. And I saw this machine and I was like, okay, I think I want to do this. And then I saw there was a penny that appeared. Like it was kind of like a give one, take one thing. And I looked over and a penny appeared. So I picked it up and I put it in the machine and I cranked it and it popped out. And when I went to grab it, my friends from behind were like, hey, we got to hurry up and go. Let's go. And I didn't look at the penny, but I put it in my pocket and I grabbed the bag and I left and I woke up. But I'm so frustrated that I didn't look at the penny. Because
I
like
know.
right in
I
my
thought you were gonna say,
dreams, like I was just gonna say that in dreams, like you don't always know when there's going to be a stop to the dream. So like sometimes I sleep in and my dreams go on forever. But then if I have to get up for something and like work, I can't just keep dreaming. So
yeah,
in my head, I'm like, I'll just look at this in a bit when we leave the store. But then you wake up and you can't go back to sleep
right.
because you have to do stuff. So I was frustrated with myself. You were frustrated with my dream
It was
self.
such a cliffhanger. I was like, no. It was like I was
I
watching a
know.
film or movie, and I'm like, oh no, will we ever find out what the fortune? And so I'm sure, like you and I have both strong emotions, so we gotta. I'm sure the dream is gonna come back around. I'm gonna feel into that. But
I'm
I
gonna
do.
try to incubate that tonight.
Yeah, no, that would be amazing. And what I get from the dream, I mean, there's so many things, but as far as like, if I'm like focusing in on the Cancer energy right now, the old timey vibe, just like, I don't know, like the metaphysical shop and you and a friend, or I don't know, you maybe it's multiple friends, but it just feels like, and then like my vision for the metaphysical store is like, also I'm getting this like old timey, like, not saying that this is what you experience, but just what I'm seeing in my mind's eyes, like this old timey type store, or just like, you know, how you go to say like a festival or something and they have like a booth where you can take the old timey pictures. So I feel like there's like a section in the store, kind of like it's like connected or in the same space. And it just feels like that very like old Cancer, type energy.
Ancients.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, like I said, I really I was left with a cliffhanger. So I wanted to know what that fortune was. And I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, like, who left the penny? Like it kind of appeared from like the ether, like, was it your higher self? Was it your spirit guides? I mean, who does it even really matter? But I just had all of these questions. And yeah, so that was my favorite dream that you shared that I can recall like recently. I
No,
thought,
I love that aspect. And when you were talking about it feeling like an old timey shop, that's exactly what it looked like. Like
mm,
there was a section, so you walk in and it's like very packed and it's dark. There's not a whole like it's like light dim and it's dark. And there's just like as you're walking by there are these old wooden like hook stands for like different products and they're filled with random stuff. Like there's no organization to it at
yeah,
all. Yes. And then
it,
like randomly in one spot, there's like a white curtain with that cool light shining over like a very messed up like rack of clothes like you would see at like Forever 21 like
that's,
in the dressing room, like just that like rack where like no there's so many
yeah,
people there,
like
nobody
people like the
like jumping
rejects.
on top. Yeah. And but the rest of it was entirely old fashioned. It felt very very old. It just felt so and nostalgic. Like I said, like slinkies or something that were huge when we were kids, and then they kind of like they
It's
kind of
not
came back a little bit, but it's not. Kids have PS5s, so a
right.
slinky's
We
not
have iPads.
doing to them
Yeah.
what it did to us.
Yeah.
And even we were at it like at a point where we were kind of
Well,
a
it's fun,
little
like
too
after
much
when you
for
first get
that
it, you
too.
play around. And if you have stairs in your house, like it's fun because you can
Of
like
course.
stairs. But no, what stood out to me was that like it also feels like if you were to go to say a person's house who was like, an older witch, a seasoned witch, like from, I don't know, like the early 1900s. I don't know, not even that far because obviously we have the modern stuff coming in, but still like the vibe is like you're in someone's home that's kind of almost not necessarily a hoarder, but kind of, it's still kind of that Cancerian vibe where it's like everything has a story, everything has like some sort of emotion or something, and it's very like it's just experience things or like the vibe around it. And then what it intrigues me too, just now, with you sharing it again, is like, what is this little splash of modernity? Is that, I don't know the right way to say that, but this
Yeah.
modern vibe just inserted itself just very like discreetly, but it's there. And I'm like, so what's that part about? Like
Yeah,
maybe
and
integrating the new with like, integrating your more deeper ancient connections or stories, or and
I don't
especially the
know.
spiritual stuff too. Like I
Yes,
think
that's
it
what
could
I
be like integrating those, like your connection to those older lineages or just that those deeper practices into your modern day. I don't know. And then with the clothes
no.
too, because it's like the roles, the identity that you're wearing. Um,
Yeah,
seeing that. I love this
there
drink. That was
no, there's so much that comes through it. And I was gonna say like two things. One, the way the void shows up is very interest register. So there's just that energy that is so mysterious and unknown. And then I when I think about the dream, where I stole something from and where I got those ideas to steal something was at that very washed, cool tone area with the clothing rack. So it
Mm,
even draws more question to what was that light, bright spot of modern energy, and why did I have these thoughts and and pursue these actions with just that? And it was like, I don't know. It's
mm.
just so interesting.
Yeah,
It's
we're
just
gonna have
such
to
an
deep dive on
interesting
that
thing about.
aside from the
I
podcast.
will. I'm gonna
Like
have to sit
so
down.
much has come forth,
Yeah.
with revisiting this again. And this is why, it's nice to share with our voice messages, but then it's like we share in the morning and then we go on about our day. So it's really nice to again come back
Yep.
to reflections later on, and it just you can go so deep with it, and you're hearing new things, new different things are standing out to you. And so before I was really focused on, the fortune telling like part of the dream, but now I'm coming back to like what's this mix of like the old and the, seemingly new, somewhat new. So,
It's so
interesting.
interesting. And it definitely pulls out that Cancerian
Oh
energy
yeah, cancer
of
right
like,
for that.
it's just so comforting, so nostalgic, so old, but also it feels like a warm blanket on a winter day. And then also the community again, like I'm with friends, I'm not by myself the whole time. Sometimes I'm in my dreams and it's just like random dream people, but I'm mostly myself. Like I don't have other people kind of like attached to me.
Yeah.
Um, and this last dream that I'm going to share is from last night.
Mhm.
And again, it's very brief, um, but it does show that sense of community. I was on a plane to Hawaii with two of my friends. They each, by the way, these three dreams, each group of people were a different set of friends, like
Mhm.
a different set of people, in my actual life. And this dream, I was with two of my friends that I had known from middle school, and we were on a trip to Hawaii. And I know that the whole energy kind of felt there was like this these two forces fighting against each other. It was this anxiety and this like excitement. And like they were merging together in a really weird way. So the plane was really crowded, but then the plane ride was like a blip. And I don't like it was almost like it like I didn't actually experience it, but I experienced the crowded and the pushing and the shoving and the noises and all of the things that you initially experience when you're boarding a plane, and
Mhm.
then a blip to getting off the plane, and then that hustle and bustle of getting off the plane, but being excited because you just landed somewhere that you're essentially vacationing. And I remember like there was an aspect of the dream where my one friend was like, because we had to call an Uber to get brought to our beach house. And so she was like, Lex, can you pay the Uber? And it was like $100. And I remember we were riding in the Uber and I just kept thinking about this $100. I'm like, where am I gonna get this $100 to like pay for this Uber like by myself? I was like, how do I put it on my credit card? Do I not tell them, or do I tell them I can't do it and have them help me with it? Like, how do I go about doing with this? And before I could even come to a conclusion, we were at the house and I had put it on my credit card without thinking. So the guy helped us bring in all of our stuff, and there was no warm tones. It didn't feel super comforting. There was still excitement, but it was a little more cold. And it was nighttime. We were just kind of like bringing in our stuff to this beach house that was very modernized, white walls, white floors, and light like furniture. And we just started talking about the act of going to the beach while like pouring some wine, and then I woke up and I was like, that's really interesting because it's very different from the last two, where even though I was excited for what we were experiencing, the actual experience of the dream wasn't very good.
Mhm.
So it was like I was combating with myself.
Mhm.
So I was having fun with my friends doing these things and getting excited to be somewhere completely different in this beautiful island, and but I was almost like really upset and anxious the entire time too, and it felt very like I was pulled out of myself and forced to do something, like be in an environment I didn't feel comfortable being in. So I just thought that was really interesting. As much as I wanted to be there, I didn't.
Yeah, so one of the themes that stands out to me as far as, with the astrology and everything, Cancer, we'll come back to that, but I'm thinking more about the ninth house,
Hmm.
the place that Cancer rules in your chart. And like I was mentioning, it's long distance travels associated with that. And also like foreign things, whether people, places, things. And so, I mean, that was very clear. And I'm thinking like it was almost like I can't really like I can't fully pinpoint the message that I'm getting, but it's something along the lines of it's like being hard to embrace. Like it almost seems like it's reflecting this experience of like it being hard to embrace your like the where you're going, like maybe the destination, like say in your life.
Change.
Right, because it's
Yeah.
like you were fine, like you were able to pay for it, you put it on your credit card, everything's good, like you where you are. You didn't really have much time to like really think about it because like you said, boom, you're there and like you paid for it and it all kind of happened as you're contemplating in the dream. And so, but it's like there was still this kind of like you said coldness, and seems like just it wasn't super easy to like feel into the vacation and enjoy, being at the beach in fucking Hawaii. I don't know why I said it like that, but I'm just like, yeah, being in this beautiful place, like it was hard to enjoy that. So maybe there are some aspects of you that haven't fully allowed yourself to embrace where you are now or where you're going, right? There's like so many thoughts
100%.
that it makes it like you're a bit detached from, where you are and where you're going and like the progress and what's to come. Like it's surreal. And there's like, you're like, but wait, can I like really do this? Can I afford to do this, so to speak, not necessarily monetarily, but just in general with other factors. And so that's kind of what came through.
Absolutely. And I feel like this too was a really good dream to emphasize the the notion that change is uncomfortable, but you're going to places that are going to benefit you and you're going to enjoy the rewards of being uncomfortable. And when I think about these two friends that are in my dream, like they're very strong, like they will just do whatever feels right in the moment, and they don't take their time all the time like I do to make these changes. Like if they want something, they can get it. And I think them showing it up in my dream is more of like a you can do it too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
support, like that support of like you can take care of it, you can do it. And yeah, I feel like right now I'm definitely going through a transitional period of feeling like I know where I'm going, but I'm so afraid despite being excited to move forward, and my brain's just kind of telling me like you have to do this. Don't think about it. Move forward, take action, be your fullest self and accomplish what you want. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in the mud in that tunnel of life and continuously make the same mistakes. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's been the dreams have been very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, you initially, whenever anyone's, recording their dream and say it's only a paragraph or a few things, you're just like, oh, this isn't really that much here to work with. But then, especially when you have someone who understands dreams, that you share your dreams with them often, they know what's going on in your life, such as our connection. then there's so much in that little paragraph, like those few sentences, that little experience. And that's what I always tell myself too, where I don't have to feel pressure to write everything down. Like, just get out what you can. If you really, really want to include those details, come back to it later. And it's so hard for me even to adhere to that, because I'm like, but what about the details? Like, I might not think this is an important detail, and then it actually was later, and then I don't want it, so.
Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
always going to come. And if it doesn't, if you don't remember it, it's going to come. The message is going to come in some other way. It's like, just allow it to, inform you naturally, organically. So that was a
Absolutely.
really profound dream too.
Yeah, I guess they were more profound than I'm giving them credit for. I
Yeah,
was
they're
thinking more so like the like community and the like being in the home and whatnot, but then we're talking about it. I'm like,
yeah, these are good.
okay. And even
Good.
like my card pull, I did my card pull last night, and it was one of the dreams I got was, or what dreams? One of the tarot cards I got was along the lines of like, you're holding on to things you need to let go of, and you need to like start moving towards these other things and grow as a person. And that's where I'm at. I have to stop resisting. I have to stop resisting. It's a
Yeah,
constant challenge. It's okay, we'll get there.
it is. Yeah, I definitely understand that for sure. For sure. So, like I said, I had a really like great problem this month of dreams. And that is, it's really hard for me to honestly like pick one to share and focus on. I mean, I have a couple that were really good, and I'm just gonna like touch bases on it. So I had one where, let me just scroll to it because it's nicely placed on my computer. Um, so okay, sorry. Now there's like too many dreams. I'm like, wait, where is it? June. Okay, here we go. So there was one of the dreams, and I think this is when I really started to like get excited about my dreams. I had this one. It basically, I was in this apartment, and I remember like I was there with my daughter's father. It was the three of us. And I feel like at first it was like just our apartment, but then it somehow turned into not necessarily a communal space, but there were other people there that exist there. And I don't think they lived there, but it kind of had like this like studio type energy of like people would come in to have like to sit with me to do readings, or maybe to like I would teach a class or something like that. So it was kind of that vibe. But I remember looking around, and I'm like, how can we afford this? So it was similar to what you were experiencing. I was just like, this is like, it wasn't super nice. I wasn't in love with it, but I was just like, this is a really big space. Like, how can we afford this? And it was like a jungle inside the apartment. Like, it was a lot of plants. The kitchen was huge, and and that's the thing, it wasn't a beautiful place. Like, it had a really good, well, I wouldn't even say it had a good vibe, but it was like kind of that old character. um but something was off, and I remember I even noted that the energy was off, not necessarily in the apartment, but just the space, and just again questioning, like, is this something that, like, how did I get here, how did I get this? And so we had a pet bird, and it was an exotic bird that we kept in a cage. And then uh my daughter's father opened the patio door to the backyard, but we were kind of on the upper floor. And so anyway, he opened the door, and I saw like the bird basically wanted to get out. And I'm looking at the bird, responding to the door being open. And it was like the bird wasn't going crazy. It was just like an energetic thing that I could feel. Maybe it was like a telepathic connection. So I'm like looking at the bird that's in the cage, and then I look, and there's a bird at the back door, and it's its counterpart. Like, they look exactly alike, basically. And they were exotic birds. And so I was like, oh, we got to let it out, and we just got to let it be free. And so we let it out. And then there were two more birds that came through that were counterparts. And then there was a bird that, let's see, let me just look at my writing. There was a bigger bird, and I called for, okay, I called for my daughter to see it. And I said, look at this priestess bird. The bird was huge. It was like a big peacock bird, pretty much, but it had like a priestess, like the robe on, and it was a black robe. And I was just in awe. And then I noticed that the other exotic birds, they had kimonos on. So as the bird that was in the cage that in my apartment was leaving with the other counterpart, the other two additional birds were leaving, and they had kimonos on. And I was talking to my daughter's father, like, okay, why are they dressed in kimonos? And it wasn't a big deal to him. It was like normal. And I'm just like, and this is how I can see like me becoming more conscious in dreams, because my awareness, I'm like, this seems different. I don't know about this. But the other dream figures are like, what? This is like, there's nothing wrong with that. They have kimonos. Okay. And then, yeah, the priestess bird basically, that was the end of that scene. But that's what stood out to me, was that the bird, like the huge bird in the gown. So that was really exciting.
I love this dream. I love this dream. I loved hearing it the first time. I loved seeing the imagery that you had with it when you were showing me the dream, and I love hearing it again. What is such a insanely beautiful experience. So there's a few things that stuck out to this with this dream to me. The first one, this apartment that was huge and old, but not necessarily beautiful, and didn't really have the energy that you would feel comfortable in. Um, Questioning it, and it almost made me think about like where you might see yourself and where you're at with your accomplishments now, and maybe not giving yourself the credit you deserve for how far you've come. And I know you're pretty aware of like all the work you've done, and like where you are now compared to where you used to be, but I feel like it's just human for us not to totally give ourselves the fullest credit we deserve. And that's like something that stuck out to me, especially because it really is beautiful. I mean, the idea of this ancient building that's like half jungle, and you know, I I just I would love to be in this space, but it kind of reminds me of like this merging of like, I don't want to say, I don't know, there's something very, very organic and natural along with something that's, more constructed but ancient and beautiful. Just these aspects of like your soul, like kind of like merging in. And I don't know. I loved that aspect right off the bat. But then thinking about the birds and your willingness to see the bird not want to be here but there, and allowing it its freedom. And birds in general, when they come through in dreams, they can represent, the bringing of messages, but also freedom and lightness and like a connection. And so you releasing a symbol that essentially is a representation of freedom in a way, and then having this beautiful esoteric ethereal being that's otherworldly, like it's still a bird, it's still representing freedom and all of these things, but it's on another level. And it almost feels to me like, I don't know, either your higher self coming through, or a guide or spirit or whatever it may be. It just feels bigger than the whole rest of the dream had begun at. And I just like, I can only imagine what it felt like to be in like the presence of that.
Yeah, it was so captivating. And like your description of it being like bigger than, like so big in the dream, or bigger than everything else. That's the way it felt. Like it definitely, that's what basically inspired me to really record the dream. And I was so excited. And like, I mean, there were a few other things that happened in the dream, but that was just that kind of took, of course, a spotlight, because I'm just like, it felt like you said otherworldly. That's like a perfect way to describe it, because I'm just like, what is happening? Especially with the other birds and kimonos. I'm like, what is going on? But they were flying with the robes and with the kimono, and it was just, and they were exotic. And just like even thinking about the idea of like the jungle but within the home, like I don't even really know where to go with that right now, but that's in this moment, that's what's fascinating with me, or fascinating me,
Absolutely.
definitely in the bird. So
It almost felt like a test. Like it
yeah,
almost felt
like
like
initiation.
this was an initiation. Like, what are you going to choose to do? Are you gonna keep this selfishly cap in captivity for yourself? I'm sure it was a beautiful bird, and it was, had, a great personality and brought comfort, but like you could see that it wasn't happy where it was. Are you going to keep it for yourself, or are you going to let it free? And then the gifts that come through because of your choice to let it free. And it's just, there's so
I
I
feel
just
like
felt
I
like it was,
relate to that bird too, the one in the cage, just like, let me be free.
yeah, yeah. And if we
And
want to
then it,
go,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say too, there is this aspect of allowing ourselves to be free too.
Yeah.
I feel like we can put ourselves in captivity in our own minds, and an aspect of ourselves may need to be let free here and there.
Yeah, and I feel with the like the cancer qualities coming through too, um feels, or if anything, just again, I also have cancer ruling the ninth house like you do. And so that otherworldly vibe, and just being in like a foreign place, and there are definitely foreign things happening in this dream. It just felt
And the
like,
community,
yes, the
there were people
community.
just
There were
around.
people, like I was definitely teaching them, which I think it was all like kind of reflecting the initiation into the guide that I envision myself as, or like the teacher, especially as I've been doing a lot more classes than I've done, like I guess consistently than I've done pretty much ever. Like I've been consistently doing these dream classes, and they're a lot of fun. And so I think that it's kind of also reflecting that to me. Especially I know with, like we said, with birds, there's messages, there's also like wisdom, there's that connection to the air element, which can also be learning and knowledge and all of that. So it was very direct and straightforward.
I
So
just,
I'm going to,
what a profound dream. Like, you were not lying.
it was good. So I was trying to find this stream, but I'll just say briefly, this dream, we had similar dreams now that I'm looking through um my dreams for this moon cycle. But there was a dream where I was working backstage at this venue, and I didn't even know how I ended up working backstage and doing what I was doing. But I was working with a friend's son who was like 18, 19 or whatever, and I was showing them how to do the job, and we were setting up for a fashion show or something. And then I ended up like walking to like out to the front of the main part of the venue, and basically, and then there was like, it was almost like a market. Like it was going to be a fashion show, but then when I walked out, it was a market. So there were these different tables, and people were selling different goods and whatnot. But it was one of those kind of spiritual slash art, like healing market fair type thing. And so I was going to go out of the building, or I think I did actually go out, but I don't remember it. But I know I did, because I was coming back in, and they were being funny about letting me in. And then one of the other people that worked the event saw me, and they were like, "Oh no, she's good." So they got me in. And as I'm going in, I'm walking around to see if I wanted to get anything. And um everything, like there were things that stood out to me, but nothing that I was like, ooh, I gotta have, until I walked past this table that had a vintage Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. And I was just so excited to see this deck. I wanted to buy it. I tried to buy it, or no, I didn't try to buy it, but I wanted to buy it. And as I was admiring this deck, one of my old bosses, that a boss from Waking Life, and I used to manage her metaphysical shop in Denver. And it was like a metaphysical slash apothecary. So she asked me, "Oh, do you want to do readings at for this event during this event?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay, we'll set you up here." And I was like, "I want to use that tarot deck. Can I use it?" And she was like, "No, like, it's for sale and whatever. I couldn't use it." So I was really bummed about that. And then the dream went on to, something different. But what was the most profound is when I woke up from the dream. One, I was really excited. I couldn't stop thinking about this deck. And then I recall that I was like, oh, I actually have a vintage Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck that I got when I was working at that metaphysical shop. We had a guy that would dumpster dive for us. And we would basically, if there was anything he found, we would like give him money for it. And we would either keep it or, put in the shop or whatever. Cause it was also like a kind of shop where we would sell like random trinkets. It was that kind of shop. It was really cool. But I was like, I need to use this deck. And I did a whole spread with the deck. I actually went to Chat GPT and like told him about the dream, and it interpreted or walked me through going deeper with it. It created a tarot spread and a whole ritual thing. And basically, there was one card, or no, basically, I picked whichever card stood out to me in the spread that I wanted to keep on my altar, which it was the temperance card. But so I did rituals and invocation and an invocation with a temperance card. And of course, that's like balancing, like it's an alchemical card, or it speaks to alchemy. Also, what I really love about the temperance card is that it also speaks to your divine path and purpose. And so I don't know, it just really resonated with me. And so it was really nice to bring that dream full circle. And I love just whenever I have divination, anything in a dream, I love it, which is why I was so excited when had that moment with the fortune telling machine thing. So that was that one.
I just, it is so interesting the way that our dreams kind of correlated with that. I want to say that what sticks out the most to me is it almost felt like whether it was your higher self, your guide, or the deck itself, it was like calling you like a siren to pick it back up again and use it in your waking space. And it's very interesting that you own the deck, but within the dream you couldn't use it. So
Right.
that's like there's this like opposing force there. You didn't need to buy the deck because you already have it, but within the dream space you're not allowed to use it. And it's interesting too. It almost like the fact that your boss kind of stopped you from using it, it has me thinking in that aspect. Okay, like what does this person represent in your life, and what did you see come through in yourself, and what did you see in them that you like really liked, or whatever impacted you deeply, and what it may have meant for them to stop you from using a deck that you care so deeply about. It's
Mhm.
very interesting. And you said the temperance card, you was that in real waking life or in dream life?
In waking life. Yeah, because I didn't even end up doing any readings or anything. I was so bummed that I couldn't use a deck that I just went on to something else within the dream. Like
Yeah,
I didn't.
but it's so interesting because you own the deck so you can use it whenever. So it's just that duality, that like that those opposing effects. And then when you wake up, the temperance coming through. I mean, what have you been working on for a while now? It's this the new path that you're on, and this new area of life that you're building up. And the fact that she shows up, and it's just, I don't know, it was almost like I wanted to say message, but that's It's obviously a
Hard.
message.
All right, hopefully it comes through. Okay, so firstly, these are the backs of the tarot deck. So it literally has an
Oh, I
like as
love it.
soon as I saw the deck and my coworkers that were there, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's her deck. That's Urania's deck. Like she has to get that." And I was like, "I'll pay you for it. Like this is not going on shelves. This is my because usually we'll pay from the store, like whatever.
Sibs.
Yeah, but I was like, no, I'm paying out of pocket. I'm buying this from you. But this is the temperance here.
Oh,
So
the colors, the
I see
saturation.
this. Oh yeah, the saturation is high on this one. And
It's so beautiful.
I like, yeah, I don't know. It's okay. So anyway, I'm distracted. But you see on you can I don't it's not super clear, but there's that pathway, there's a crown
Yep.
here. There's just so much symbolism on here. You can't, it's not really coming in the camera, but there's the sun glyph. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Then there's a triangle for creativity and the alchemy, the integration,
Yep.
similar to the star where there's 1 foot in water, 1 foot on the land. And then the angel is like the divine protection. And it just feels like my path and the integration of, the old and the new, which is similar to the messages that you or that we, just talked about in your dreams. And yeah, so I really, yeah, I don't know. It just all came together. And this was, like you said, it's like I had the deck like in waking life.
I
So
want to I want to bring up real quick too, you left to go outside and then was restricted from coming in. And then you were like someone came by and was like, "Hey, like you come in." And then you find something that you care and love so deeply about and then you're told you're not allowed to use it. So I also feel like it's an interesting aspect to acknowledge these dualities as a whole, like almost like the push and pull of moving forward. You take one step forward, two steps back, and even though you're excited and there's going to be great things coming from it, it doesn't make it easy. But you're doing it. And I love this, like, your path being kind of lit up with lights. I love it.
yeah, I'm just like that resonates, like the duality and the restriction too, where I don't know if it's actual people, and that's a good thing I need to look at specifically because I know, my boss, that's actually someone actually in my life. So I can reflect on my relationship with that person. Also, I'm just thinking of what was going on at that time, and I was managing the store. Like for most of the time I was working there, I was managing the store, which was a lot of responsibility. There was a lot going on. And yeah, so that's something I'm going to go deeper with. But I didn't even think about that, where it's both the restrictions of like getting into the event and then being able to use, say, the tool that I desired. And it's like, what is restricting me? What's holding me back? Especially because it's like I already have the resource. And so that's
Absolutely.
found too, where it's like you already have everything that you need, which that's a message I've been getting a lot because I'm like, oh, I need to have this new deck or I need to have this thing to do it. And it's like, no, I have so much stuff. Like I have everything that I need. And if there's something that I need, like I'm thinking about, oh, I want these tuning forks for something later, I'll get that when the time comes. Like right now,
Absolutely.
work with it you have, less is more. And
Yes.
you need it, you will have it. Like right now, I want it, but I guarantee if I get those tuning forks, they're going to be sitting like, somewhere in this room until I figure out what I'm doing with them. So
Yeah.
it's like,
And
no,
it's
I'm
so
gonna
important too to acknowledge what you want versus what you need and
yeah,
what will take you forward. I mean, if you don't get these forks and you keep the path you're on, you don't have any other distractions to keep you, like, you could get them and play with them a lot and like really integrate them, but it might throw you back from the progress you are right now. Where, like, if you wait just a little longer, you can get over this, like, I don't want to say bump, but like there's a lot coming forward. There's so much opportunity. And it's like almost if you take these opportunities and then when you're moving through them and after that, then you add this other thing to it, it feels more organic to your path rather than like trying to throw in another thing when you're already doing something. And I
Exactly.
kind
Yeah.
of feel that with myself too, like not like in my head, right? If I have too many decks, then that's a lot of decks that I'm not going to use. Like I purposely bought myself one deck and I was like, I'm not getting any other tarot deck because I know that I'm not going to use the ones that I got before it. I'm just
Yeah.
going to keep going for the new thing. But I waited until my like tarot deck was like, please put me down for a nap. I need a long nap. Please, you've been using me so much for so long. Please give me a break. So I like waited until that happened and I felt called to something new. But like it's the same with anything new. Like if I'm in the process of moving towards an already set goal, it's not going to benefit me to add something else to my trek. Not yet. And I think learning to manage that has been really a huge struggle for myself personally because it's easy to let my wants override my needs.
Yeah. That is very true. And yeah, I already have, when it comes to decks, I'm like, ooh, some of these decks I don't even like really resonate. I haven't resonated with them, but I just got them because, I'm like, ooh, these are pretty, but I just didn't have a connection. So,
And the reality is there are hundreds of gorgeous decks. There's so many.
so
And there's
many.
always going to be more beautiful
Oh,
decks.
yeah.
But
That's
like
why I'm just
really
letting it come to me. Yeah, at this point.
letting it come to you and really resonate and call you like something that's very personal, so important. But like I love these dreams because it just shows where you are and how far you are on your path and all these goals that you're moving towards and like you're right there and like I know, I'm just so excited for you. I love these dreams this month. I'm so excited.
So I don't know if I shared this one, or I can just say too, as far as the Cancer energy, what I'm really feeling is more of the well, I guess like the nostalgic, the vintage tarot deck. And just pointing me back to a nostalgic period of working, different events. And also when I was working with or working for the owner of the shop, I was doing a lot of metaphysical fairs. Like I was doing a lot of readings there. And so that was very nostalgic for me to have that dream, but then also just the aspect of divination with the ninth house connection for me. So, all right.
And it almost makes me think too, you know, thinking back at the aspects of ourselves, like these memories that were like really meaningful and profound to us at the time, but what we may have been restricted from at the time that we don't remember because we're thinking about these good aspects. Not that there are bad aspects, but
Yeah.
it could be good for reflection of like comparison to where you are now versus where you were then and
Yeah.
what you've accomplished and what you've moved through and what you still feel like you might need to like move through.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Alrighty. So, this next dream, this last one, I'm gonna actually share the dream. I think I shared this with you, but maybe I didn't. I don't think I shared the details. Okay, so I'm yeah, this happened on July 9th. I don't know if that matters, but
You would
so
know.
right. So Kathy, which is my daughter's grandmother, was having a holiday get together. Initially, family was to meet at my house. And I was in the kitchen. Kathy's boyfriend was there in the kitchen as we awaited other guests. He didn't say much, and I was longing for deep connection with someone. I wasn't sure who all was coming. Eventually, the location opened up. So there was a transition within the location, and we were no longer in my house, but outside, like in a picnic park area. There were tons of people, like a family reunion type gathering. I knew of a lot of, I knew a lot of people, yet some I didn't know. So a lot of them I knew, but some I didn't. I was still longing for connection, but I just didn't feel drawn to connect with anyone there. It was announced that everyone was to meet and explore in a building on the property that Kathy also owned. I had to gather some of my things, and as I walked along the grass, I noticed there were razor blades all in the grass. I was very careful to not step on them and contemplated why they were even there to begin with. There were a bunch of children playing around, and I had a feeling they had something to do with the razors, yet no one else seemed to care. As I'm walking to gather my things so that I can go into the building, I walked past a lady and she stopped me and said, "You don't belong here. What are you doing here?" She said it in the sense that I was too good for this place or special in some way. I didn't respond, but silently agreed. Then she pulled me in close to her as she was lying on the ground and said, "If you ever want to come back here, say these words." And it was Millie something. I don't, unfortunately, this is my fortune telling moment where I don't remember what she said, the words to say, but it was Millie something. I can't recall what she exactly said now. She attempted to repeat herself. However, she noticed other people in the dream were listening, and so she stopped and said, "I can't say because people are listening." I tried to remember it throughout the dream, but couldn't. Walking into the building, I see familiar faces such as the dentist assistant I engaged with in Waking Life earlier that day. He was there with his family. The building was very old in a historical type way. It was a huge library. Kathy wanted us all to hang around for a bit. She had planned on playing chess with her friends. I was looking forward to seeing what super old books they had. The son from the family I encountered was playing Popular from the movie Wicked. Oh, okay. So they were playing the song Popular from the
Yep.
movie Wicked on it, and he was playing on a children's piano. Piano. Everything was so grand. So in the dream, everything was just like really big and spacious and just elegant and old. Um, so yeah, that was that dream. Did I tell you that dream?
No, you didn't, but that's such an
Yeah.
interesting dream.
I
I
was
mean,
trying to find that I didn't tell you. So great.
it's so interesting the way that you were around these people, but still felt alone in a way because
Yeah.
you were longing for such a connection that they weren't able to provide. So it was almost like you were looking for something that wasn't there to an extent. And then the razor blades in the grass leading to this building felt like you shouldn't be going towards this, which is interesting because when you actually get to the building, you go inside, it's beautiful
Yeah.
and grand and old. And like, I mean, old library is like your thing. Like, it's something that like feeds your soul.
Yeah.
So, like, why would there be razor
Well, the
blades
razor
on the
blades were just
path
kind
to
of
that?
spread out in they were in it was on the property, like on the grass, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like leading up to the library, but it was just there.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
So
it
it
was like
was like a
you have to walk through
treacherous
them to get to the library.
trek
Yeah.
to it, but not right
Yeah.
by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's almost like I don't know that aspect of it being treacherous anyway is just very interesting because it is something that you care deeply about being in that type of environment. Um, and then it was kind of funny because of course like what comes to mind with the dental assistant showing up is like day residue,
Yeah.
and like maybe triggering feelings around certain aspects of going to the dentist. Um, but then, but right before that, that person coming through and being like, "You don't want to be here. Like you're too good for this. What do you? Why are you even here? This you don't. This isn't meant for you." And you're kind of just like, "Mm-hmm," and you can't hear the rest of the word for you to come back,
Yeah.
which
But it's
makes me
weird
think
because I
like,
thought you were saying come if so now that you're saying this, I'm confused with my own dream because initially I thought she's saying if you ever want to come back here to where I was, like in the dream to say this, but then it could have been, coming back to whatever elsewhere that's here. I don't know. I really
well,
don't
it
know.
made me think like the first environment you were in really wasn't for you. You
Yeah.
really were not like supposed to be there. And I feel like the library was where you were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So the fact that you couldn't hear the password basically to get back to that area, it felt almost purposeful because you don't want to be there. You want to be somewhere more like where
Yeah.
there's more depth, you know? I felt like, especially with like kind of kids like running around placing razor blades, nobody really caring. Like it felt very like a neglected space with like treachery and an aspect of like purposeful hurt in some way or the next. You know, I don't know exactly what that is coming through for you, but then to bypass all of these things and finally enter this like ancient library. How did you feel when you were in the library?
I was really
Like,
excited. I was like, oh my goodness. Like I don't know if I was expecting that. Like it was almost, one of those what do you call it? Not necessarily a concert hall, but like the grandness it was because it just wasn't a library. It was also like maybe I am thinking about a concert hall, but it's like just really like ornate and antique kind of like a really old historical library. But it was also like, yeah, it was a concert hall because there were like it was almost there were like theater seating in some areas. And like I said, there was music, like there were instruments, there was like a piano and everything. And so, and I was listening to, I think around that time I was listening to the Wicked soundtrack a lot because I was watched the movie. And so it was just very that felt like somewhere I wanted to be. Like the people there, I still wasn't really encouraged to engage with anyone, but that place definitely, resonated with where I wanted to be.
and I keep going back and forth. Of course, it wasn't my dream, so I don't know. But like, was this person trying to get you to stop from going into the library, or were they trying to get you to leave where you were? Is that where you feel like your confusion lies?
I think that it was weird because she was like, you know how you have the dreams where like like someone like it felt like she was separate from the whole dream. Like when you have those dreams where you're in a dream, but then there's something that feels more real that
Yeah.
happens, whether it's a person or like, I don't know, maybe it's just an interaction or a thing that you touch. I don't know, but it felt like it was almost like a wake up, like, hey, but I don't know because it was just really interesting too, because then she was like laying on the grass and she pulled me in and she was like, if you ever want to come back here, say these words.
You
And
know,
and people are listening. And she was like, oh, people are listening. I can't say anymore. So I
it's
don't know.
so interesting because it almost felt like a guide helping you to reach your
Yeah.
fuller self. Like it's
Yeah.
like the aspect before the library was kind of like maybe a comfort, but also uncomfortable because it's not where you want to be and you're longing for something deeper. And this was a guide helping you kind of transition into like a place where you truly belong, you know, reaching deeper aspects of yourself and where you are in your journey. So that's so
Yeah.
interesting. It's so beautiful. And I also love the aspect. So I feel like, you know, of course it's probably day residue of listening to Wicked, but also like what does the song he was playing, what does that mean to you? Like what aspect of that
Oh,
song stick
I
out, you
love
know?
that song. And it makes me think of I mean, it's interesting because there's a different vibe because when you think about like she's singing about being popular and making over, the Green Witch, right? The Wicked Witch, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
making her over and making her popular. And so it's like, that the Wicked Witch, the Green Witch is the outcast. And but when I listened to that song, and I literally was listening to the song on loop, like I know it was kind of around that time, but I'm not close to when I had the dream. It was like, a week or so before that.
Yeah.
And I was singing it as if I was Glinda, like the good witch. And I'm like popular and I'm just like in my vibe, very in the feminine and just, I was really feeling into that. And some aspects of that are nostalgic because in high school, like I wasn't super popular, but popular enough, like in the circle that I was in. Also I spent a lot of time catching up with friends from that period of time, like back home. So I was really, and then I also I was connecting with that song in the sense of like just who I'm becoming and like the feeling, not necessarily I'm going to be popular, but just like it was like very Leo energy. Like I was feeling into just like,
Yes.
oh, I love who I'm becoming. And like I'm excited for like the wardrobe and like all of this. So that I love like the whole energy with that song. I love that song. And so yeah, that's definitely on point with that. Like that means a lot. And yeah.
I love that because it just adds more emphasis to the stepping into your like your fuller self, like really honing in on the aspects of yourself that you love and what you're trying to push through, you know, with these business changes and these different directions in your life right now and just everything you've done to get to this point. I love this dream. You didn't tell me it, but I
I thought
am
I did. I was
so
like,
glad you're telling it now because I'm just like, yes, yes, yes.
yeah, I think what one of the themes I'm seeing with my dreams this moon cycle is that there's like a lot of longing.
Yeah.
You know, in the previous dream, there was the longing to use the deck, and then like just that feeling of disappointment afterwards. And like even in the priestess, that one with the priestess bird, there was longing energy in that. Like it wasn't really like it was more of the feeling. Like there wasn't anything necessarily happening, but it was just like I don't want to be in this. I don't want to be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And you know what's going on personally.
Yeah.
So, but it makes a lot of sense.
You
And
have the vision.
yeah, I
You
have the
know
vision of
how far
it's
you
just
can
there already.
go.
Yes.
You're
So,
almost there and I just oh, I love that. And it's just like the coordination, like not coordination, but the like the aspect of that song playing such a huge role in it too. Like it's not just a residue, it actually means something deeper than that. I love that dream. Thank you so much for sharing that.
awesome. Thank you for your perspective and interpretation. Thank you
And
everyone
you.
listening. Yes, absolutely. Like this is we would be doing this not on a podcast. So it's really amazing to share with you all and you just get a live or you're listening to the replay, but you get to witness how powerful dream sharing can be because you know you just really uncover parts of the dream that you didn't uncover initially or someone has a different perspective that like I didn't really focus in on the popular song in the dream. I thought it was fun, I thought it was very cool, but I just didn't spend a lot of time on that because I'm drawn to the obvious, which is who is this woman and what did
Yeah.
she say? I need to know the word, you know. So it's really amazing and powerful to have that, you know, that feedback and another perspective or sight of eyes or ears listening in on the dream.
Now I feel the same exact way. Just talking about the dream again with you on the live brought so much to the surface that I hadn't seen before. I mean, even just the aspect of like, oh yeah, there was all this void in this dream, but also this light, but the light wasn't necessarily good. And I didn't like connect with that in that way. It felt very uncomfortable and negative and like out of character. It's just so interesting. Like it really says a lot about not keeping your dreams to yourself. You know, I know it can be a very private thing, but when you get other people's perspectives, you just understand yourself and yourself in existence so much better and it opens doors for you in ways that you wouldn't have before.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was amazing. We are going to, of course, pull some cards,
Yes.
all of you, for us.
Would you
For
like to go first this time?
sure, I'll go first.
I feel like I've been going first the last couple times. I'm like, Urania, you should go.
I'm used to, I always do, and not saying we have to do that this time, but it's natural for me to do tarot and then oracle for whatever reason, my own patterns. But yeah, so the new moon is happening in Leo on July 24th. So we're gonna see what message comes through um for us. So I'm gonna receive an oracle card and Alexis is going to um get a tarot card for us.
Yep.
Oh, that was fast.
Did you
Ooh,
already get something? See, you were
I
meant to go
did.
first.
And it's not what I expected, but it didn't make so much sense. So what we received is drawing down the sun.
Ugh.
And so
Especially
when I
entering into Leo. Are you kidding me?
it makes so much sense. When I first saw drawing down I automatically think of drawing down the moon because that's a book. It's a whole thing of channeling down the energy of the moon. But in this case, it's drawing down the sun, which is like, you can't make this up. This is Leo season. And so the number associated with this card is 22. And the key energies we have here: wildfire, divine masculine, magnificence, and witness. So I'm going to go to the guidebook to see. And just so you all know, this is pure magic oracle. I felt called to use this one today, being that the crow, or this is more than likely a raven, but I had a dream recently, a profound dream that I really wanted to share, but I had to pick three. So, and that did not make the cut, unfortunately. So
I know, and that was such a good dream too.
only
I mean,
because like
all of your
you
dreams were
heard it
so
already. So.
wonderful, but
Yeah, I was
that
like, I
was a
have to
good
do
dream
one that
too.
I don't think I told her. Okay, so when the sun rises, we feel the blazing radiance of its glory and gift of renewal. And when it begins to set along the edge of Earth, we see its creative artistry richly painted across the sky in hues of reds, pinks, oranges, purples, and yellows. It is a blanket of love upon us before the moon awakens the night. The sun was our first father, our collective teacher of time and comfort. The very power of the sun speaks to us of the power of the gods, not merely as pure masculinity as we know it, but as an incredible driving force that is inherent in us all. The sun's magic provides protection, warmth, growth, and hope. And yet it can also provoke caution as it can burn as well as enlighten. So the wisdom with this card here is the sun warmly invites you to view the situation from its perspective. Illuminate the path for yourself and blaze a trail for others. Be patient with your inner flame and make sure not to burn bridges. Take hold of your masculine form and prepare to fight what you believe in, for what you believe in. If you need a boost to a situation, the sun will set you free.
I love that. Just the energy of moving towards what you want and not allowing like fears to hold you back is so beautiful. I mean, the
Yeah, no,
sun is fire.
I love that. And I love it. It speaks to confidence, and it definitely resonates in the sense of just thinking about these previous dreams that we had for this cycle. There was this kind of like, oh, like, I don't know, can I afford this? Can I do this? Like, just kind of almost like a tiptoeing energy and not owning our energy, owning our creative power. And so I really just drawing down the sun was already enough for me. Like I
Yeah,
already knew I resonated with that. So it all makes sense of utilizing this power, this powerful resource of the sun. And also just also not overdoing it, because then yes, you can, burn yourself or burn others.
absolutely. Just like, it is Leo season. We just entered. The sun is Leo. And that fire is fueling our courage, our creativity, our excitement, and our love, and really giving us that energy we need to move forward. But yeah, be aware. Be aware of yourself. Do things, but with caution.
So what do you have?
So while you were about to read that, I did flip this card. The deck threw it out at me. So this is the action card in my deck, which is the Deleted Worlds Tarot. And in the Rider Waite deck, it represents the Ace of Swords. So this is the Root of Air card. Traveler, the time to act is now. This card resonates with the primal essence of the Root of Air. It embodies the duality of decisive action and unbridled chaos. Its mercurial visage simmers with the potential for both creation and destruction, a testament of the capricious nature of illusions. So already that duality of like moving through with action, but being cautious of how you're going through it. I mean, come on. So action. The keywords for this card are initiative, new ideas, catalyst, and inspiration. The upright Ace of Illusions signifies taking initiative and embracing new visions. It represents a breakthrough moment where clarity pierces through confusion, guiding you towards purposeful action. This card encourages harnessing the power of your ideas to manifest significant change. Seize the moment with unwavering resolve. How just
Everything
speaking
is
of
time.
duality, the your card and my card both go into it action, go into action and be aware of the
Be
risks, but
smart
go,
about it.
go
Yeah.
through with it. Take initiative, take that energy that's coming through, that creative like flame in your heart, and move towards it. Be aware of all the things around you, but reach those goals. Oh, what a good draw.
So it's like, don't act too quickly, or just be smart with your actions, be strategic,
Yes.
be wise, but also move.
Yes. Move.
Like, do the
Don't sit.
right, but don't overdo it. Yeah, I feel that. Wow, that was very straightforward and direct. I'm excited to see how our dreams unfold for this lunar cycle, and I hope very, very active. And it's interesting because Mercury's retrograde in Leo too. So I know that is going to play a role as well, which we'll be sharing about that along the way. But I do also want to share, do you have any last words or anything before I get into just a quick announcement?
I feel like the way we just finished up was everything. You know, just take initiative, take action. Your time to decide, like your time to think about things and decide is over. Your time to act is now, but do it with caution and enter into the Leo season with that energy. I'm just so excited. Go ahead.
No, I'm really excited. So, the announcement that I want to share is about our episode next week. We're going to be live again with Deborah Lukovich, PhD. We had her on a couple of weeks ago, several weeks ago, and we talked about sex and relationships. So that was definitely part one. So we're going to have part two this coming Wednesday, and same time, same place here on our YouTube channel. And we're going to talk more about sex and relationships. So I really encourage you to ask your questions, share or comments about any type of sexual dreams or relationship type dreams that you've experienced. Maybe you want some help with interpreting the dream. Whatever comes up, please do share if you feel called to. We would love to discuss what you share with us with Dr. Deb. So, anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, our last conversation with Deb was incredible. As she mentioned, sex dreams are usually not about sex at all. So if you have dreams like this and you're uncomfortable, confused, curious, whatever you may be feeling, come join us for part two. Get more insight on what you may be, missing with in regards to interpretation and guidance, or just for, entertainment purposes. It was a great chat last time. It's going to be an incredible chat this time. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Mary's here. Mary said hi in the chat a while ago, but I want to shout
Hi
out.
there.
She started at the beginning when we were probably about 30 minutes through. So it's interesting to see.
Nice to have you, Mary.
Yes, we're so happy to have you here. And thank you for those of you who join in live. Also, for those of you who are watching the replay, definitely feel free to say hi in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your questions or your perspectives on what we shared. And until next time, have sweet dreams.